is the former Israeli government spokesperson. Hello, Eylon.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you too. So what do you make of this, Christine?
I'm appalled, but I'm disappointed in the Israeli government that they can't see the damage that they are doing to their own reputation and how they're coming across in this as authoritarian, and that's to ban, to detain and then deport MPs from any country for expressing their views in Parliament is not what we expect from another democratic state and from an ally. Now, having said that, I understand and I completely support Israel's right to defend itself against terrorists. And I know that it's a country which is still going through the trauma of what happened on October the 7th and everything that has happened since, and that the Gazans are going through horrific trauma as well. But I don't think that actions like this help the cause of the Israeli government with foreign powers and with foreign governments, because people like me who regard themselves as reasonable and have supported their right to defend themselves find themselves taken aback at what they're doing.
Well, you've got Kemi Badenoch saying that Israel has the right to control its borders. Now, David Lammy has called those comments disgraceful.
Nobody is saying that Israel doesn't have the right to control its borders, but what we're saying is that these are two elected representatives of an ally. Is another democracy, and that how would Kemi Badenoch respond if some of her MPs went out to China, as several of them, lots of them actually have been sanctioned, if they went to China or Hong Kong on a mission as part of a parliamentary delegation and they were arrested and deported or worse, would she think that was fair? Because the only way that we can know as MPs what is happening in Israel and Palestine is to go there and hear people on all sides and find out what is happening, and that's what they were doing. And the organisation that was organising the trip is a reputable one. I've been in Israel and the West Bank with that organisation myself. And it just makes me wonder now, what on earth is going to happen? Why are they doing this?
Well, that's the question, Eylon Levy. You're a former Israeli government spokesperson. The Israelis will have predicted the reaction to what they've done. Why are they doing it, do you think, Eylon?
Well, Israel has a law. Israel has a law that prohibits the entry of anyone who publicly calls for a boycott of Israel. From what I understand, these two members of parliament have publicly called for a boycott of Israel. And as MP Yang has noted in the House of Commons, no one is above the law.
But do you really think, therefore, people in the British diplomatic system have to agree with Israel or they're banned? That's it?
Of course
That's
not.
a democracy, is it?
No, of course not. Now, members of parliament are, of course, not part of a diplomatic system and they don't have diplomatic immunity. But I would say this. Frankly, I think that the entire hullabaloo is something of a mountain out of a molehill. Personally, I'm not entirely convinced by the wisdom of the decision to bar them entry. I hear Christine's concerns about the reputational damage to Israel, and certainly the media storm has been unnecessary. But it's worth noting this. It is entirely normal for countries to bar entry to individuals on public interest grounds. It's normal for democracies, and it's normal to bar politicians. It's definitely not unprecedented, as these two MPs have claimed. In fact, the UK does the same thing, barring the entry of individuals it considers not conducive for the public good. I remember years ago it denied a visa to Geert Wilders, who now heads the Netherlands' biggest party. And of course, every country has a different understanding of what conducive to the public good is. And as far as Israel is concerned, individuals who are publicly calling for a boycott of our country and siding with enemies who are trying to undermine us as we fight for survival on 7 fronts are not conducive to the public good.
Christine?
Well, I come back to the point that I made earlier, that democracies, and Israel is a democracy, democracies allow freedom of speech. They don't try to, limit what foreign politicians say. They don't they don't disallow, if you like, their allies to visit the country. And I think it's a wrong step. Israel has made a number of wrong steps. A lot of us are finding it very difficult supporting a lot of their actions. We understand that the country has been traumatised. And I was at a meeting last week with Israeli opposition politicians who told us that there's a lot of unhappiness in Israel at the way things have been conducted, at the war. They just want the hostages home and they want peace. And it seems to me that the Israeli government really needs to listen, not just to world opinion, but to its own people as well. And by doing things like this today, which escalate the situation, which make it more difficult for people to defend their actions, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the Gazans, that's for sure, and it doesn't actually help Israel. And I think that, you know,
shouldn't we respect the laws of the country? And Eylon's pointing out to us how the law allows Israel to restrict entry to these two MPs, Christine.
Of course we should respect the laws of other countries and they should respect ours. And one of ours is that members of parliament are allowed to express the opinions of their constituents. And, you know, if we break the law as members of parliament, then we're in trouble. And if they had broken the law in Israel, that would be a different matter. But they were not in Israel yet. They had just arrived. And they were detained, questioned, as I understand it, and deported. Now, that is not the way I would expect a democracy to treat foreign politicians. And you can look for examples elsewhere, but I wouldn't myself expect to be limited to where I can go in the world because of something that I have said on behalf of my constituents under freedom of speech in this country. I wouldn't expect that to prohibit me from going to an ally. Perhaps, a hostile country, that might be, you might expect that, a hostile foreign power to not like the British system of government or what we're allowed to say or what we do. But you don't expect it from your allies. You don't expect it from people that you helped defend when they were under attack from Iran. We quite rightly defended the Israeli people. And I'm certainly not questioning Israel's right to defend itself. But I do think that a lot of the actions of the Israeli government, this one included, although there have been a lot of others, undermines people's faith that, they are doing the right thing. And it makes it very difficult for friends and allies and supporters of Israel to justify everything that they're doing, because frankly, it's a mess.
Before you both go tonight, let me talk to you both about tariffs. Eylon, I know that Benjamin Netanyahu is to meet President Trump in DC tomorrow, and he will be discussing tariffs. Do you think your country will do a deal? Do you think they should do a deal on tariffs, Eylon?
Well, there is no deal for Israel to make on tariffs for the reason that there are no Israeli tariffs on American goods. There are zero tariffs on American goods. And I think that's the best example that these are not reciprocal tariffs. They are entirely unilateral. Well,
Trump has put a 17% tariff on Israeli goods, and Trump always wants something in return, doesn't he?
Right, and Israelis feel deeply betrayed because our market is entirely open to American imports. And if there is a trade deficit, it is precisely because of what makes Israel such an attractive export market, because Israel exports so much tech and defense technology to the United States. So in a way, Israel is being punished precisely for the things that make American companies desire doing business with it. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to try to convince President Trump to climb down from the tree. Whether crashing the global stock markets will be enough to get President Trump to reverse course remains to be seen.
And Christine, do you think Sir Keir Starmer is taking the right approach? It's softly with the American administration from the British government, isn't it?
I think what we need to do is look to our other trading partners. Our biggest trading partner is the European Union, and I think it's time that we if Trump wants to go down the route of tariffs, we don't get involved in a tit for tat and a trade war. We look for other allies. There are other trading partners. There are other countries out there who've been hit by the tariffs and who are also looking for other people to trade with. The European Union is our biggest single trading partner. We should be looking to a new customs union between the UK and the European Union. We should be looking to the Commonwealth, getting together with
a
the
new
heads
customs
of state
union.
Of the Commonwealth.
How do you think a new customs union is going to go down in this country?
Well, I think at the moment business in this country recognises that we've got a lot of challenges and that the red tape, which we've had to put up with, they've had to put up with for the past few years has been damaging. And I think that anything at the moment, as your previous interviewers were saying, the damage that the British economy is facing and the problems that our companies face every day, the people whose jobs are at risk because of the state of the economy would welcome something to improve that. And we should also be looking to the Commonwealth because we have great ties with the Commonwealth and we should be looking there for more trade. And I'd like to see a commission set up in London to look at just exactly how we do both of those things and how we build new alliances.
Christine Eylon, thank you very much